Hello, and welcome to Coffee Time. Coffee Time is a space where magical humans come together for some real talk, strong coffee, and powerful introspections on whatever is top of mind right now. My name is Natalie, and I am your host for this channel and today's super exciting conversation. The idea behind Coffee Time is that you are in your favorite coffee shop, maybe cozied up with a book, and you begin to listen in on an intriguing conversation between folks at the next table over. For that reason, there is no big introduction. We absolutely let the conversation speak for itself. And if you do want to know more about these special guests following today's episode, I invite you to check out the show notes for more details. So, on that note, let's dive right in. The issue. Hold on. Let's try now.
Yo.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Hey, we can be friends now.
Yeah, we weren't before. Okay.
We weren't. We really weren't.
Nope. This is like shit's legit now, right?
That scares me. Are we moving to the next level?
Maybe we're backtracking to where we should have started. We kind of just dove in like really fast. Me being like, hey, my life is falling apart.
Isn't that the way it works? Isn't that the way? That's why we became friends.
Exactly.
Our lives were falling apart and we needed to tell each other everything.
I mean, I was okay with it. Also, I had this thought, like, I don't know if you know this song, and it's funny because are we both drinking tea? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have chai with pumpkin spice coffee creamer.
That sounds really good. I have cranberry with fall spice.
Ooh, yum.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a word for that. Autumn-y. Because I had someone recently message me, and this was like the third or fourth person to be like, you have such a soothing voice. I think it's because they're getting my like really grounded response voice memos. If they got like where I was serenading you over voice memo, they probably would not have said that like at all. They'd be like, the fuck are you doing? Shut up now. But
you do have a really soothing voice though.
Thank you. When I'm not singing like Celine Dion or whatever that was.
I was singing Higher Love earlier. It's okay.
I
was going some Whitney Houston.
I was jamming to like Dizzy Rascal, just like bumping around my hips. But they said
Did you say Me House?
Sorry?
Did you just say bumping around Me House?
My house.
I thought you said me. I was like, oh, you're awesome. That's what I heard.
So they said I should record like an audiobook. And then I realized you and I were talking and everyone's always like, Neil's got that smooth jazz voice. And like, that I thought I should do an intro of that like Black Coffee jazzy song. I don't know if you've heard it though.
No, but now I want to.
I'll send it to you. I used to listen to it all the time as a kid, but because this is like coffee time and we're like coming in with that smooth jazz tones. And so I thought it would just be like a really good, probably copyrighted interlude that I'd get sued for later.
I think that's perfect. That's the only way. If you're not infringing on copyright, you're not doing it right. So, yeah, it is.
I locked my cat in the other room because he was being a jerk.
Yeah, I can't do that. Coda just starts whimpering and crying and barking. So I've had to go with the records and figure out a whole process of like calming him down before.
You're going to use the records to help calm your dog down?
I do that.
Oh,
they taught me how.
Work?
It works so far. I've tried it once in last night's episode. So.
Okay. That's cool. See, often when I go in, Christoph just falls asleep. So similar effect, but it's like I don't really want to be in there every time he's annoying me because that'd be a lot.
Well, no, I went into the records to figure out what to do with him, and then now he just chills. So I don't go into the records every time before. Yeah.
Well, that's fair. Yeah. For me though, I did notice like every time I'm in, he'll be like getting kind of antsy, and then as soon as I'm in the records, like mine or someone else's, he'll just like curl up in a little ball and fall asleep. He's like, yeah, oh, hey, mom, you're doing your job. Okay, I'm going to peace out for a bit.
Because he's your spiritual guide.
Yep.
He's making sure. And then you're doing it. And then he just, okay, I can chill now. Everything is good. Give me my coffee and tea. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, precisely. But no, he's just, I think you saw this. I'll give a little anecdote before we start talking like spiritual, whatever comes up. So I got an insulin pump this week, which I don't know if you saw that. That's exciting. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But I knew this would happen. This morning, my alarm goes off and I leave my door open a crack for him to go like in and out if he wants to, because I don't need him like throwing his body against my door at 5 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, he comes in and I'm like doing my morning reading and like sitting up. And he starts pawing at the tubing, like attacking it. And I knew this would happen. Such an ass. And then I see that he's like, there's an electrical cord, which is probably stupid of me. I shouldn't be disclosing this on like the broad YouTube channels, but by his bed. And he's chewed the casing on it. So such a jerk. Anyway.
He likes electricity, apparently.
Right? Yeah, I guess.
He's a thrill seeker. I wonder where that comes from.
I think he's just really bored being in his like cat form.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
like
my friend Taylor. Well, when she was over, she got a message from him saying, "I miss my shoes." And she's like, "The fuck are you talking about? Like, my cat misses his shoes." So
that's really funny.
Yeah, I think he's getting fed up because if he were like a human, he could kick my butt more.
Which is why he comes and just starts scratching and gnawing on everything. That's his way of kicking your butt.
Exactly.
That again.
Yep. And he wins. He always wins. It might just take an hour, but eventually I cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you alluded to both of our lives. We both did. Both of our lives falling apart. So like, how things going, friend? Yeah.
Well, as you can tell, I haven't been messaging you as much. I don't want to talk to the world. Today is actually a really good day. Yeah. Oh yeah, how am I doing, friend, is the question. I'm tired, and I'm tired of being tired. It's one of those. I'm like, I'm just tired of it. Like, let me get 2021 here. So, and I'm close to, like, I know if we look at it astrologically, word.
I always trip up that word. I'm like, wait, which one are we doing right now?
Yeah. Like just with the stars and big universal things. Like, this is the last big, from what I've understood and feel and have been told, this is the last big week energetically of the year until that whole thing happens, like in late December, when everything kind of just switches in and we can kind of move on finally.
Okay, cool.
And I have been dying this week. So felt every possible emotion. I felt every form of self-doubt and old thought possible. And I've also been like blissed out at times too. It's just been everything.
Coaster?
Yeah. So how have you been? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I am kind of consistent with like our last bunch of, because I think we've both been a little like more haphazard lately, which is totally fair because like people need their space. But I've been getting more comfortable with allowing myself to be like angry.
Oh, good.
Right? Yeah.
That's so good. It's one of my favorite subjects.
Anger? Oh, perfect. Let's do it. So, because what I've noticed is I am, and you're gonna be like, well, yeah, no shit, Natalie. But we swear on this channel. Like, don't worry about that. So,
we swear on Woke Wasted. It's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
No fucking shit.
I can't remember what happened when Zach was on, but for anyone who chooses to like witness this banter, because Zach is your co-host for your podcast and you like do all the broy things together. I'm pretty sure I told a story on there about my guy watching me masturbate, and like that was our level of conversation in our first interaction, and I've told you that story now. So like,
you
open forum, like it's fine.
I can't remember that story, but okay.
Well, you'll have to watch that episode. So,
well, if it makes you feel any better, I have those thoughts all the time. I'm like sitting in bed and I'm like, wait a second, there's a whole like team of people watching me right now. There's like a God watching me. I'm like,
well, now we know where that but okay, so the big shift, and I think I intellectually knew it before, but actually realizing I can put it in practice is a very different thing, right? Because I think I was making some excuses for myself, but realizing that like I can understand why someone is like, I'm gonna let myself just use the word royally fucking up. I can understand why that's happening. And it also doesn't mean I have to hold space for it and like stay there with it. And that's the big shift, because I am, and maybe you can speak to this, like maybe it comes from being an empath and being more attuned that way. And like I can know to a T, like what is going on with someone. And I think because of that, it can be a lot easier to stay and like support them or be patient or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, not today. Like I don't have to do that anymore. And it's actually really important that I don't. Yeah.
How does that feel for you, having made that switch?
Currently, I'm just at the point of like hating people, but but that's also really important, because like I need to let myself feel that stuff. I started doing some like codependency work business, and one of the things that it brings up is like you have to feel it before you can like release it or like whatever you have to feel. And I'm really good at jumping away from feelings.
That's really funny. I was, God, I had, I don't know who I was talking to this morning or thinking about a conversation around this morning. Oh yeah, one of my friends posted something, one of the coaches, and it was a good post. And I was like, wait, but I beg to differ. And it was around the thought of like how important it is to be able to release our emotions. And I think it is really important. But at the same time, I think the most important thing is to be able to feel them. And in feeling them, you then release it. But if you start to just like, okay, this is uncomfortable, bye, clear it out, which we all do, which is what I did too, right? That's a shit. But like you start to miss the magic, whatever it is that's underneath it, that's in the in between when you get to feel it and learn to move through it and be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And all the growth that happens through that. Or else you're just being like, ooh, I don't like this. Okay, shoo, right? Cancel culture. Bye.
That's interesting. Like I like cancel culture on yourself. Like,
yeah.
Like, no, just shut it down. And
I don't like that. Okay, bye.
Yeah. I think part of it is, and I think it's important to acknowledge, is like there's a process, right? Like you're not, but a lot of people are not just gonna like right away be fine with feeling all the things and like want to do that growth or have the tools to do that growth. You might want to, and it's just not your time.
Yeah.
And I think even with what you and I have both been going through, like what we've shared about individually, like we could have decided not to process all that stuff. It didn't feel like we could. We could have. But
we could have. I know exactly the ways I would deny it all. Yeah. Move through. You and I have both done that.
Right. But, and I think there were moments when I was like, fuck this, fuck everything. Like, I don't wanna, and just like have my little tantrum. But then it's also that thing, I think, where once you really see it, like once you like stand fully present and like look in that mirror that has been reflecting back at you for like years, you can't just ignore it. It's like I don't know, like how do I explain it? I'm thinking about like a reference to recovery, but I don't want to be like too much in that because other people can't relate. But it's like, I think once I got a taste of like what that kind of support could do for me, and if I ever go back out and like decide we'll play around, whatever, that memory will always be lingering. Like it will always be there. And it's similar with this. It's like, once I see my codependency or that I have like 3 decades of trauma, like whatever. It's not, I can't just ignore it. I can't.
It's just going to sit
heavier.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can do other shit to numb it, which is also a lot of the patterns that like we end up doing, right? And you're just like, ooh, okay, that's there. Bye. And now you go double down on everything else, right? Mm-hmm. And then it starts to get heavier and heavier and heavier. Mm-hmm. But I mean, what you said is exactly it. It's a process, right? Sometimes you need to just numb it. In all reality, sometimes you need to just release it and clear it and flood it without feeling it. And when you can, you feel it and let it grow. And you get more and more comfortable at it over time. But it's a process, and it's just about wherever you are. Because I was not feeling my shit a long time ago. And if you told me to, fuck off. Fuck off. As much as I thought I was, I really wasn't.
Yeah. So. And I've been practicing that in little bits a lot more. I know it might be kind of funny because like I feel like when you and I talk, there's a lot more to it, but that's different than I think engaging with the emotions in like the actual context where they're coming up. Like I can talk about it for like days because like let's not lie, I don't shut up. But to like actually engage in it in the moment with the person who's mirroring that for me, like that's a whole other story. So I've been
I had an opportunity last night to kind of do that, and it was super awkward, and I was like flouncing around my house, like doing all these weird things. At one point I had like a blanket over my shoulders, like a cape, because like apparently that helped me like engage with these
like
things,
protected, and you feel like Superwoman.
There you go. Yeah, I'm my warrior princess self. But
what's up, Xena?
Yeah. And like I think it's important to recognize that like it will be awkward and uncomfortable, most likely. Like that's part of figuring that out. But what's been like, I mean, maybe bring us more practical because we're like talking about the thing. Like, what's been a shift for you in like recognizing where you're engaging in those things to kind of avoid it and then getting back to the path of healing?
For me, I'm still not good at feeling in the moment. If a shitty thing comes up and happens, I can stay really grounded and keep moving through. And so for me, it's always about creating the time afterwards to be with whatever just happened and came up, and then it starts to open and unfold. But there's a level of me that's very like, oh, this happened, cool. We gotta figure this out, do this, and now move through it. And next thing, right? It's the kind of typical man thing. But I need to always hold space for myself after. And then, okay, now I feel it all.
Where do you think that default comes from? Because I mean, like, I recognize it in myself too. Like, I'm very quick to move to like my type A problem solving self, and like similar with staying grounded. Like, I can very easily, maybe because I'm used to not feeling the things, like I can easily discount my emotional reaction to something and just be there. So like, where do you think that reaction comes from for you?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I really want to look at that. I don't have any one moment that's coming up at the top of my mind, but the word that's coming up is just instability. Whatever that is, wherever that was, I think in some form, it's a coping mechanism for some part of our lives that was just really unstable and really fluctuating. That's how we learn to deal with it.
Hey, Pupper.
Yeah.
It's okay.
He's good.
This is real life. This is what happens when you have coffee with friends. Like, life is going on in the background and we're not like in a studio, and that's part of the fun. That totally resonates. Because I think the thing that I've started to gradually attribute it to, and it's very like high level at this point, is like trauma. It's like in those moments, I don't let myself feel, and like even reading the book on codependency, it talks about this. It's like you, like me,
survival.
Exactly. It's like that survival mode. And if you feel the things and you pause or you get too invested or whatever, you don't survive.
Yeah.
And so it's a really great thing in that it has like kept me going this long. And now that I see it, I can recognize where it's really not serving my relationship with myself or with other people.
Yeah. And so it comes in for us is just, I think it's just conscious intention, right? Like maybe we're not feeling anything, and in that moment, that's okay. But it's just reminding us that we are safe and we can. And then over time, we allow that to slowly unfold more and more and more.
Yeah, man. Okay. So that is reminding me of something that happened recently. And so, as you well know, and like other people will know, because there's actually an episode before this one that talks about it more explicitly, like I went through an uncoupling with twin flame, and I felt everything really fast. And that was big because like we're talking about, like I normally don't feel the thing. So like letting myself feel the depths of each stage was like really important for me. And I'm also seeing now, it's interesting because I've talked to people and they're like, no, dude, like that's what you do. But now looking back on it and seeing where I'm at now, like however many months later, and looking back at where I was on like day one when I was like crying and voice memos at you and like blubbering, it's like I am discounting the emotions I felt then because it's changed. It's like this expectation that my emotions will even stay constant, which is like, to me, it's ridiculous when I look at it, because I would never tell someone else to be that way.
Right.
But I almost feel like I am, and I hate this way of using this term, but like invalidating myself by being okay now.
Mm. Yeah, that's really interesting. So you almost feel by so basically you're telling yourself that it's not okay to be okay.
That, or it's like looking back at how I was processing. I don't want to say reacting, like looking back at what I was feeling or whatever. It's like, well, you lied to those people who you shared that with. Like that wasn't real. Like that was like you being wrong about this or whatever. And so I'm discounting that in a sense because they're the things that I have experienced at each point of this journey so far. They are not all consistent with one another, right? And talking about it on a more objective plane, like, of course they're not, because you're at a different point of the process every time. But it's been coming back, and I'm trying to really root in it. And I've been like connecting with people every so often to like bring it up, just to kind of have that reflection for myself. But I am seeing that and like judging myself for being inconsistent. And I haven't really thought it through too much. I just like noticed that it's happening. But I have to wonder if part of that at least is because I'm so used to like being steady that there's discomfort in feeling the things, but then there's also discomfort in realizing that the feelings are not consistent with one another, and like also that's not wrong. Like that's how it's supposed to be even. But I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I'm just supposed to like be here. Like I'm super chill, living on the West Coast, doing my thing. And like everything I feel is like within like a +or-1. Like we're just you know. But now it's like, no, like bitch, you climb mountains and you like sweep into valleys. And I'm like, no, but that's not right. Like, how could that be? But it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what you finished there is exactly the truth of it. That it is right. And it is. There is no wrong. And my dog is like really about to say the same thing.
Thanks, puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's have you felt any of that? Like adjusting as you've gotten more, I don't want to say better because it's not like a good or bad thing, but like more comfortable feeling the stuff.
Yeah. I am gonna let my dog out. So in real world things, give me 2 seconds.
Do it.
So
I thought you let the dog out.
I did. And he just came right. It's one of those days for me.
I feel it. It's okay.
Spirit always, on the days where like I need to get pushed, they always push him to push him. And it does.
How so? Is that what's happening to me? Because my cat is being ultra annoying.
Yeah. And it could be energetic things too with the world right now. But like in the days where he's just gonna freaking do this right now. Sorry. On the days where like everything's going wrong, he's extra.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those times where I was like, I just like, I'm about to break. Okay, dog runs away. Fucking shit. Like every single time it's one of those days, and I know it's just because I need to be in something. I need to feel something, to work through something. He's always like the final catalyst for it. But to your other question.
No, that's interesting because I feel like that happens with me too with my cat. Like I don't really pay too much attention to it because also he's a freaking cat. Like they're always extra. But I definitely noticed the last couple of days, like I was having a day where I was like, I just need to chill. Like I need to not. And he was like extra chatty, extra following me around, under my feet, like all the things.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I'm right. Like if you look at your kitty cat as a guide, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to take us to wherever we need to go.
Yep.
But yeah, with the emotion stuff, for me, there was always a level of me where I've been always so calm and grounded where I felt like I'm not living life as much. I don't experience it in the way I want to be, in the way the rest of the world does. I'm like, I want more emotions. I want to be less grounded and like steady.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I've actually embraced. So I've come into it with a different intention. And so to allow myself to really get into it whenever it's coming up. But I still definitely have those moments where I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. I miss my steadiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's kind of what I was saying earlier at the very start. It's like, I'm tired of being tired. Like I miss my steadiness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And there's times where I deny it too. I'm like, I'm not going there. Nope. Like Neil's going in the bath. That's
Neil's
it.
always in the bath.
Neil's every day. Neil's always in
either bath, jorts, or eating chocolate. Or like maybe a combination of two of those, because probably no jorts in the bath.
Jorts go in the bath.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make jorts for board short jorts. Board jorts. Borts.
I can't. There's so many. I don't know if that would work. Is there any sort of like waterproof denim? That'd be really great. I mean, you're in Cali, so like you could probably get away with it, but I don't know about here.
That's way too cold for that up there.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly right now. I actually just got my winter tires. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Like this morning, that was my big task, was winter tires, because it snowed the other day. So
in California, we don't need to do that. We have one set for the whole year, all weather tires.
I have those. Are there not some places that would need it, like farther up? Do you think
there are, just not a lot?
Yeah,
it's like you're in the place where it snows and need it, or you don't need it.
Yeah, that's fair. But anyway, sorry, I digress as always. Yeah, I think because you said sometimes you don't want to feel it, and then other times it's like, okay, here we go. I think my block has been when things start to come up, like actually being able to stay in that feeling, which I think probably gets better with time, or like easier with time. But it's currently really hard still for me to feel any emotion other than like discomfort for a prolonged period of time. Like even sadness. It's like I think I shared with you, like most recently when I cried, I like did all the things to possibly make me cry in a day, and it was like 2 minutes and it was over. I even watched This Is Us and like nothing. So it's, like I think at a certain point, those like defaults or those coping skills, those survival skills are probably going to come back.
Yeah.
It's more, I think, a matter of like being mindful of how long they stay.
Mm-hmm. And not being judgmental of it either at the same time, because they're just parts of us. I wonder if there's like an intermediary step of like, oh, okay, I want to cry, but I can't. I'm not in the place. My body's not there. What do I need to do first? Or like, where do I need to get myself to allow my body to be ready for that? I don't know what that is.
I think there definitely is. It's interesting. Like a lot of this comes back, and I was just reflecting on this with someone the other day. And you're very intuitive, so maybe you'll get something out of this. But as soon as you say that, it's like I visualize my energy like centering around my core. And I realized that I hold a lot of trauma there. And I think I was talking to a friend like yesterday, and he was saying that like objectively, I think it makes sense because like just based on like physiologically what happens in that area of your body. But for me, it was recognizing like, this might sound really silly, but so this came up in a conversation about like yes, no stuff. And one of the things is tickling. And I'm like a hard no on tickling. Like I will wrestle you, you can bite me, you can pull my hair, but like God, you cannot fucking tickle me like at all.
Because that's the spot that will just like unleash a storm.
Well, I'll cry because my dad used to do it and I'd say no and he'd be laughing. But like, and someone said like the laughter that turns to tears, like there was no laughter. There was just like instant panic. My body would freeze. I'd say no and he wouldn't listen. And then eventually I would cry. And then the thing that has happened is that since then, every partner I have told that to has felt the need to test that boundary and see if it's true. And so I end up on the floor crying. And like, when you like physically pull yourself inward, like that. And then recognizing as well, like I now have 2 health conditions and I'm doing daily injections in my stomach So like the trauma is
a lot of trauma.
It's just gonna keep going. And that day that I had told you about, where I had like the big emotions, like I was like crying and like screaming on my floor, like thrashing around, and was like, I didn't think I could feel that much and like still be okay. That was centered around like solar plexus. And I had this citrine that I bought and like didn't know why I bought it, like because apparently I needed to make it extra, like on my solar plexus while I was doing this breath work. And it was big. And more recently, there's a lot of connections. When I was in that workshop a couple weeks ago, we were visualizing something. And what I realized was my solar plexus are like, I think one, like there's a lot of potential that's like trying to expand. And like two, there's a lot of that trauma that's needing to release. And it was butting up against my throat chakra. And so I actually started like singing that day to help like move the energy. But like all those things together. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Like, right, as we move through our expansion, there is continued release and depth and clearing. So I get the same thing, and that's one of the things I've been feeling this week. Like I had a day where it was all this heart energy, the next day it was all this solar plexus energy, the next day it was all this throat energy. At the same time, I could feel things coming up and clearing, which is why all these thoughts and things were coming up so powerfully, as I could feel like the growth of the energetic expansion of these areas. But one of the things I was thinking about when you were talking was this gut. And for me, I'm the same way for different reasons. Like I carry so much unexpressed emotion through my stomach and gut. And the biggest thing for me was, as much as I was trying to allow myself to feel what was there and to allow it to express and be shared, it was just allowing myself to feel that place. Like I don't like my stomach. So what's the most difficult thing that I've never done is just touch my stomach and my gut and feel it and put my hands on there and just let it be felt from a place of pure love, and to have that intention, hold that intention. And that's one of the most powerful things I've ever done. And it's just to be able to be, touch and feel my body in the places I really don't want to. And it's unlocked so much. And I think just being able to go at it for me from a physical level first, where it's not like directed at like some sort of outcome, right? It's not for pleasure. It's not for sex, for whatever. It's just pure, just me. Made it slowly and slowly more safe for me to be able to feel what was there and be able to let it out.
I really like that. And I think that caveat too, like, I'm gonna make it sound terrible. You're like, so like speaking out, I was like touching yourself without it being sexual. Like, but it's important. And I realized that recently too with like COVID stuff. And I was like, when was the last time I really hugged someone? And I think you and I talked about this, and it's like, well,
yeah,
you can hug yourself, and like I feel so stupid doing it. But then
it's so nice.
It's so awkward. But like I'm awkward hugging other people. I'm like, like, you know, I don't even like hug my mom very much. Like I'm super weird about it. So for me to hug myself is like, what? But I think it can be as simple as just like whatever way you are engaging with your body, whether it be a part that you're more comfortable with or not, just putting that intention into it. So like right now, even like my hands are on my thighs, and like I could just like have my hands on my thighs and like not pay attention. But because we're talking, I'm actually like showing up more for the sensation of like what that feels like and like what my legs feel like or whatever. And that can begin to kind of create that shift, even just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And it's right. It's a simple exploration. And if you're not ready to give yourself love, okay, cool. Don't have to. I'm just gonna touch and feel and explore. If it's just like that, okay. Or you can slowly move into that and just see what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And it just opens up your body. And I think in the same way, it can be places you're really uncomfortable with, or places that you are really comfortable with, wherever you're ready to go for yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just slowly, it's just unraveling all the different 50 million layers that we've built up in ourselves.
I know, I always joke like, you know how people say we're like onions? And then I saw that meme a while back where it's like a fucking like tin can with like multiple lids. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like, it's not an onion. An onion would be way too easy. Like, I am the tin can with like 30 billion peel back lids, like trying to get to like whatever's inside. And I think I've made it through like 5. Like, you know? Yeah.
And that's a win,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not that like we're supposed to be at 50 right now. It's like 5. Maybe that's actually ahead of the game for us. Cool. Good job, me.
How many incarnations I have left. No.
Yeah. And maybe those 5 layers were the biggest, thickest, most difficult layers ever. And the other ones are easier. Like we don't actually know. So we can never really actually, there's no point in judging ourselves for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And actually, now that I mentioned incarnation, I'm like, oh yeah, because I got that message like a couple times that I think I shared with you, where it's like, this is the time where you bring together all this stuff. And I don't necessarily think that means that it's like you're not coming back. Like, I think I'm coming back. I think it's just that this particular incarnation is a really big integration of all the things that my soul has like experienced and learned. Um, and I think as it's coming up right now, it's that I'm tapping into my gifts in a way that allows that. It's not that I haven't tapped into them before, and possibly I have even in a like objectively like more powerful way. It's just this is the first time it's happened for that purpose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
In like a really integrative way, is
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the records keep sharing people. They've shared this all year for so many different people where it's like this is just a coming together. Like you are clearing through so much so all of it can come forward and be integrated in. And I think that's it, right? Like you've so powerfully had to move through so much to take you through so much so quickly. And one of the things they say about that is like, as much as you run into a wall, that's how powerfully you're working through these lessons. So you probably will never have to work through them again, not in this manner ever. Right? That's a win.
Yeah.
But in doing that, you move through so much so quickly, you create room for so much more. So then you get to bring in just as much into yourself. And then you have this whole life of just like all these integrated things that are opening. And now you get to just bring them to life and just kind of go on cruise control once you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because you had said that to me that day. I think it was you. Might have been you and Lauren when I was like clearing out my friends list, and then I got like a bunch of messages. And I never thought about clearing out to make room for like more stuff. I've never looked at life that way because I also don't let myself, or I should say, up until now, I haven't let myself like dream bigger. And I think where this conversation started with me talking about like what I'm realizing is like I don't have to put up with this stuff is like proof of that. That I'm allowing myself to have that space. Yeah.
Win.
It's exciting.
That's a big win. Yeah, it's expansive. It's nice, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it's
and once you get comfortable with it, it's different.
It is.
It also sucks on the way.
Well, yeah, some of it has definitely been uncomfortable, and also
Yeah.
like, just to make you uncomfortable, like a very public to whoever watches this, thank you for being an awesome friend through all these things. Because like,
no, thank you.
Yeah, you've been amazing. You are amazing. I won't get to.
I was.
Don't worry. Yeah, you were like.
You were too.
Now. No, I'm kidding. I saw you a chocolate eating voice memo, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? I do eat chocolate. I made pie, but
I might buy some today.
It's that I don't want to say it's good because it's just it's new, but I think it's like there is I'm trying to like search for the answers. There's a different level of comfort in experiencing the newness that I didn't have before.
Yeah. Where it doesn't carry that level of like
yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah. It doesn't carry that. There's like, oh, okay, like this is cool. Like all right.
I'm not gonna mimic that sound on this recording. It's it's something I was reflecting on like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, was re-articulating the like physical sensations of fear as excitement. And I feel like that's kind of the shift that it's taking. And it's not like a big experience necessarily, but it's like that kind of like turned on curiosity about like what's coming next.
Yeah, right. There's this guy, I heard him speak once, and he just coins this phrase like, the best things that you can ever have in your life are the things that are scary and exciting. And because those are the same coin, they're just opposite edges of the coin, right? So fear, most of the times, like there's times when you actually need to be fearful, but for the most part in our lives as human beings, the way we live now, it's just indicative of something really good and big and exciting and powerful. So it brings up fear because we're in a place where we have to kind of move beyond our comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, unless it's like the dark alley at night or like the bear chasing me through the woods.
That's where you're like, okay, trust your gut intuition. That is fear.
Yeah.
Don't go in further, like, please.
Stay alive. That's good. But if it's like, for example, like lately, well, maybe this isn't a great example, but for me, I've been going for walks at night, and there's certain parts of the walk that are a bit darker. And like, granted, there could be some of those things, but as I'm reflecting on it, a lot of the fear that's coming up it's more like, is there a ghost? What's happening here? And then my friend,
for you is more real,
right? My friend Taylor, who you have spoken with, like she said it. It's interesting that the way you mentioned this is like, the only thing to fear in the woods is the witch herself. And so then I like took a deep breath and I was like, no, it's me. Like, let's do this, and just like kept walking.
Yeah, that's real. my version of that is back in the day when like zombies started to, like 5-6 years ago, and like it was like The Walking Dead first started, and it was a big thing and everyone was into it, and all these zombie stuff were going on. There's all these theories about, the zombie outbreak. I remember going on runs, and I think it was probably fall, like time change, things were getting darker quicker, and I just remember like turning corners and like, is there something there? I'm like, I'm gonna run home now. I'm gonna go back. I'm done. Like, I can't handle this right now. I've been watching too much zombie shit.
Yeah, it's like, especially when you become more open to those things, it's like, okay, when am I making this up? When is there actually a ghosty I need to deal with? And like, when is it just a dark alley that as like a single lady, I probably shouldn't walk down at night, because just don't. Like, like gauging that spectrum. But yeah, that's why I carry tourmaline. No, I'm kidding.
So I carry pepper spray and
That's
tourmaline.
Probably more what I should get. And tourmaline.
Tourmaline spray.
Wouldn't that be great? We should invent that. Patent pending.
Sick. They this is very different, but I'm in this men's sexual mastery course, and she sells it's like liquefied gemstones, and so it's like the essences of each crystal that is good for whatever thing, and then somehow she has it in like liquid form. You just take it as like a dropper. They're expensive as hell, but it's really cool.
Yeah, right.
It's really interesting.
So bougie. I think I was just thinking I should just like bring my Florida water and like spray people in the eyes with it. But I'm kidding. But I know it's coming up to our top of the hour. But like, it was cool meeting you.
It's cool meeting you.
I was like, it feels like the most build up ever for a blind date that I've ever had. With like, that's not what this was, but like, that's how it felt.
I mean, like, it was.
Yeah, right. But thanks for meeting with me. It was really fun having tea with you.
We can do these another time too.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of topics we didn't even get to twin flames. So like, should we table that one for next time?
We'll table that. That'll come up next time.
Perfect. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, friend. I will message you soon.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Coffee Time. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if today's show resonated, I invite you to drop into the comment section and share whatever personal introspection came up for you today. Anything you can do to help make the show more accessible is super duper appreciated. Until next time, I am your host and coffee drinking companion, Natalie, wishing you a beautifully caffeinated day.